Hello and welcome to Indus News, live from Islamabad. I am Munib Hamid with the news of this hour. Let's begin with the top stories first. In Pakistan, the death toll from the collision of two passenger trains in Sindh province has risen to at least 40. Over 100 people were injured when a passenger train smashed into derailed carriages of another train near Ghotki city. Prime Minister Imran Khan has ordered an investigation into railway safety fault lines. In Afghanistan, officials say at least 150 Afghan troops have been killed or injured in the last 24 hours in a surge of Taliban attacks as foreign forces withdraw. They said fighting is now raging in 26 of the country's 34 provinces. Earlier in the day, the Afghan government confirmed that a key district in Ghor province has fallen to the Taliban. Russia's President Vladimir Putin has signed a legislation to withdraw from the Open Skies Treaty with the US. Earlier, Russia's upper house voted to quit the international treaty that allows surveillance flights over military facilities. The US formally withdrew from the treaty during November last year. India has recorded just over 100,000 coronavirus infections overnight, the lowest in over 2 months. The country has reported over 2,400 deaths from COVID-19 during the past 24 hours. Meanwhile, in Pakistan, 58 people have lost their lives to the virus and nearly 1,500 tested positive overnight. While globally, the coronavirus has claimed more than 3.7 million lives and infected over 173 million people so far. These were the top stories. News in detail is coming after a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back now, and let's have the news in detail. At least 40 people have died after two trains collided near Ghotki city in Pakistan's southern province of Sindh. Rescuers said over 100 passengers have been injured in the accident.
Authorities say they are trying to rescue several passengers still trapped in the wreckage. Reportedly, some of the injured are in critical condition at a hospital. They said that the accident happened when the Sir Syed Express hit the derailed PULLOUT Express. Railway officials said about 1,100 passengers were on board the two trains. Prime Minister Imran Khan has expressed shock at the loss of lives. He also ordered a comprehensive investigation into the railway safety fault lines. Meanwhile, Army and Ranger troops reached the incident site and are carrying out relief and rescue operations. The military said 2 helicopters are being flown from Multan for casualties evacuation and speedy relief measures.
Now, the Afghan government says its troops have suffered a shockingly high number of casualties in a surge of attacks by the Taliban. Officials said at least 150 Afghan troops have been killed or injured overnight as fighting rages in 26 of the country's 34 provinces. This comes as the Taliban seized a key district in western Ghor province, forcing Afghan troops to retreat to nearby villages. The latest clashes coincide with US envoy Zalmi Khalilzad's visit to Afghanistan. Talks between the government and the Taliban have largely stalled amid the withdrawal of US and NATO troops from the country. Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi says Pakistan is facilitating peace in Afghanistan. Talking to the media, he said the world agrees with Islamabad that there is no military solution to the Afghan conflict. He added 47% withdrawal of foreign troops has been completed so far. The foreign minister also promised to continue efforts for peace in Palestine. Qureshi said Muslim countries must unite to stop the Israeli aggression in Gaza. He added the government is working to transform Pakistan's geopolitics into a geo-economy policy. The foreign minister also announced a regional economy policy division to lure investment to the country. Russia's President Vladimir Putin has signed legislation to withdraw from the Open Skies Treaty with the United States. Russia had hoped that Putin and the US President Joe Biden could discuss the treaty when they meet later this month in Geneva. The Kremlin said the US's decision to withdraw from the treaty had significantly upset the balance of interests and forced Russia to quit. Earlier, Russia's upper house voted to withdraw from the international treaty allowing surveillance flights over military facilities. The United States formally withdrew from the treaty during November last year. The Czech Republic says it is hopeless about establishing cordial relations with Russia in the near future. Relations between Moscow and Prague have been greatly strained after a spying row leading to mutual expulsions of diplomatic staff. Czech Foreign Minister Jakub Kulhaník said normalization of ties with Russia in the near future is an illusory notion. However, Kulhaník believes that it is still necessary to consider the prospects of interaction between the two countries. Kulhaník said he is willing to organize local roundtable meetings on the bilateral issues to help find a solution. Moving on now, the Israeli forces have injured at least 10 Palestinians during a protest against the arrest of activists in occupied East Jerusalem. The Palestine Red Crescent Society said the troops used rubber bullets and stun grenades against the protesters. Later, the Israeli police released Palestinian activist Muna al-Kurd and her brother Muhammad al-Kurd after hours of detention. In statements after their release, the two vowed to continue defending their land, saying that no amount of arrests can intimidate them. Meanwhile, Israeli police injured a young Palestinian protesting against illegal Jewish settlement in Ramallah city with a live round. Palestine's health ministry said the Palestinian sustained a head injury and was hospitalized. Now, India has recorded 100,000 coronavirus infections overnight, the lowest in more than 2 months. The country has reported over 2,400 deaths during the past 24 hours.
The total number of cases in India is now approaching 29 million, with nearly 350,000 fatalities. Government data shows vaccine inequity is worsening in the country. Urban Indians are getting COVID-19 shots much faster than the hundreds of millions living in villages. Taiwan says it will extend the lockdown for another 2 weeks and schools will remain shut until summer vacation. In Latin America, Brazil has reported 873 deaths and nearly 40,000 new cases overnight. Meanwhile, Australia's Victoria state has registered its biggest rise in local COVID-19 cases in nearly a week. Authorities reported 11 new cases, up from just a 2-day earlier. Globally, the virus has claimed more than 3.7 million lives and infected 173 million people so far.
Meanwhile, in Pakistan, coronavirus has claimed 58 more lives over the past 24 hours. The health ministry says the death toll has surged to 21,323. It said the virus infected nearly 1,500 people overnight. The number of confirmed cases is approaching 934,000. There are over 47,000 active cases in the country at present. Just over 3,200 of them are critical. The countrywide positivity rate remains below 4% for the 7th straight day. Now, Saudi Arabia has launched TUWAIO, a joint air exercise involving several Arab countries. Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Oman, Jordan, Egypt, Kuwait and Bahrain are participating in the 2 weeks-long drills. The Saudi Ministry of Defense says the exercise aims to achieve readiness and operational capability. TUWAIO will be carried out in different stages, including planning and implementing fights. Now moving to Myanmar's largest city of Yangon, where activists have rallied over civilian casualties and displacement during clashes in Chin and Kaya states. They urge people to unite against the military regime. In the Magwe region, nearly 1,000 people drove through the rural parts of the Myang town. Earlier, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations called on the junta to free political prisoners. ASEAN envoys met coup leader Min Aung Hlaing and In Napi Diao to discuss the execution of the bloc's 5-point consensus. Meanwhile, outside Myanmar leader Aung San Suu Kyi's lawyer says her trial will begin on Monday. According to an activist group, the military has killed at least 849 people and detained over 4,500 so far. The leader of the Nigerian militant group Boko Haram, Abubakar Shekau, has reportedly killed himself. A rival militant group says Shekau died after blowing up explosive on himself after a battle. ISWAP leader Abu Musab al-Barnawi said the group offered Shekau a chance to join them, but he preferred humiliation. Reportedly, the warlord died when the ISWAP attacked Boko Haram positions in the northeastern Sambisa forest. Shekau was also reported dead last month. Neither Boko Haram nor the Nigerian government has confirmed his death. Moving on, Ukraine has unveiled a new national team shirt for Euro 2020, emblazoned with a map that includes Crimea. Moscow considers the peninsula part of Russia, but it is internationally recognized as part of Ukraine. The front of the yellow shirt shows the borders of Ukraine in white. A slogan at the top of the back reads "Glory to Ukraine." Inside the shirt is a slogan that declares glory to the heroes. In comments carried by Russian state media, a lawmaker called the design an illegal and political provocation. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova said on social media that the slogans echo a German Nazi rallying cry. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris has arrived in Guatemala on her first overseas trip since taking office. Earlier, her flight to Guatemala City was forced to return to Joint Base Andrews due to a technical issue an hour after takeoff. The Vice President departed a second time in the afternoon after switching planes. Guatemalan officials, including Foreign Minister Pedro Barolo, welcomed Harris upon her arrival. During her three-day visit to the region, Harris will address the root causes of migration from Central America to the U.S. The White House says the visit will also focus on the region's economic development, food insecurity and women issues. Harris will travel to Mexico after Guatemala. Peru's presidential elections is on a knife's edge as vote counting is underway in a tightly contested runoff. Unofficial counts show the socialist and conservative candidates separated by a razor-thin margin. A quick count put leftist Pedro Castillo ahead of Keiko Fujimori by 0.4%. A previous exit poll showed Fujimori leading in the race by a 0.6% vote. The new results triggered immediate celebrations in Castillo's hometown of Tacabamba. Both the candidates have called for calm and patience as official counts trickle in. The tight race can lead to days of uncertainty and may trigger social unrest if the final results are questioned. Mexicans have pawed back President Andrés Manuel López Obrador's power in the midterm elections. The forecast results deliver his ruling coalition a reduced majority that will make sweeping change more difficult. The National Electoral Institute says the ruling coalition is expected to fall short of a two-thirds majority. It is likely to win between 265 and 292 of the 500 lower house seats. However, the official results are yet to come in. 15 state governorships and thousands of local leaderships positions are also up for grabs. The vote has taken place amid high levels of criminal violence, with 91 politicians killed in the election cycle. Now, thousands of Canadians hit the streets to call for government action over the residential school system. This comes after the remains of 215 children were discovered last month at the Kamloops Indian Residential School. Demonstrators marched through the streets of Toronto chanting, waving signs and demanding action. They tore down a statue of the residential school system's creator, Agathon Ryerson, at the Ryerson University. Around 17 Indigenous professors at the university signed a letter seeking to rename the university to X University. The protesters demanded compensation for the school system survivors.
What they need to do is acknowledge that this was a wrong. What Trudeau doesn't want to acknowledge that it was a genocide. But there's actually been 5 genocides, the 5th one ongoing. So they need to give in and stop fighting it and compensate the residential school survivors. That's one thing. Because they had billions for COVID relief, but they didn't want to pay anything to the First Nations residential school survivors.
Now, Switzerland is going to become the first European state to ban the use of synthetic pesticides. The decision will be taken after a referendum on 13th of June. Opinion polls suggest that both referendums are likely to pass in Switzerland. Supporters of the ban say the artificial products cause serious health problems and reduce biodiversity. Globally, Bhutan is the only other state that has imposed a complete ban on synthetic pesticides. JERIC is also set to initiate another vote on the same day aimed at improving the quality of state's drinking water and food. A recent Tamidia poll showed 48% of voters favored the drinking water initiative and 49% supported the pesticide ban. One is coming up in this news bulletin after a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now in Sri Lanka, the death toll from monsoon floods across the country has risen to 17. Heavy rains have inundated 10 of the country's 25 districts since Thursday. Authorities say the extreme weather has affected more than 270,000 people and damaged hundreds of houses. Thousands of people are seeking refuge in relief camps. According to the government, relief work is in full swing to tackle the effects of the deadly flooding. Now in Thailand, researchers are breeding and releasing endangered bamboo sharks to ensure their survival. Details in the report.
In the Gulf of Thailand, researchers scuba dive to the ocean floor to release baskets full of young bamboo sharks into the wild. They hope to remove the species from the International Union for the Conservation of Nature's Near Threatened Red List. The fish became endangered in recent years because of their popularity with fish collectors and exotic food diners. Last week, researchers released 40 of the brown banded sharks aged between 2 and 3 months in a purpose-built 18 meters deep artificial coral reef. The project has so far helped hatch, nurse and deliver more than 200 bamboo sharks to the Gulf of Thailand. The species is native to the region and also found across Southeast Asia, Japan and northern Australia.
Now, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have announced the birth of their second child, a baby girl. In a statement, the couple said they have named the girl after Queen Elizabeth and the late Princess Diana. The added baby, mother and the child are healthy and well. Lilibet Diana Mountbatten-Windsor was born on Friday at the Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital in California. She is the Queen's 11th great-grandchild and is the 8th in line to the throne. The royal couple's first child, Archie, was born in 2019. Now in South Africa, the number of bees has decreased rapidly due to bacterial diseases and human activities. Environmentalists and beekeepers are worried this may lead to local ecological imbalance. This report has details.
Since 2009, a bacterial disease called American foul brood has invaded the South African ecosystem. Nearly 35% of the local bee colonies have now been infected. A part-time beekeeper, Melissa Harris, says the AFB is a kind of larval disease that is difficult to cure.
So AFB is a spore disease that can wipe out a bee colony. It can absolutely destroy it, and the spores are viable within the hive for about 60 years. So when you have a hive that's contracted with AFB, you need to, unfortunately, kill the bees.
Harris says people can tell if a bee is infected with the disease by its color and the shape of its honeycomb. She added that people stealing honey has also led to a reduction in the number of bee colonies.
They will use knives or any tools that they can. They'll approach the box, they'll kick off the lid, they'll even break it, pull everything out. And it's not only causing the damage for our bees, it's also having a knock-on effect with the environment and the pollination of plants and crops in the area where the bees are working. So it's a lot of damage.
The South African Beekeeping Association thinks the virus may be introduced to the country by animals. Local beekeepers are now calling for drastic measures to protect the insects from the disease and human activities.
Now in China, a student trying to capture the footage of a university race in Shaanxi province inadvertently ended up stealing the show. Serving as a cameraman during the sprint, Hao Jingxiang outran all of the competitors in the 100-meter dash. As the starting gun sounded, he launched into his explosive stride from just a few meters ahead of the athlete. Despite holding the heavy camera gear, he was able to stay well ahead of the sprinters running in parallel to them. Hao's lung-bursting efforts earned him wide praise from the Chinese netizens. Now, Michaela Coel's Why May Destroy You about a woman coming into terms with assault was the big winner at this year's BAFTA Television Awards.
The stars of Britain's small screen celebrated their work at the BAFTA Television Awards, hosted in West London's Television Centre. Themes of race and equality dominated several of the evening's winning performances. Michaela Coel, the star and creator of drama series I May Destroy You, was the big winner of the night. She took home the awards for the leading actress and best miniseries.
I want to dedicate this award to the Director of Intimacy, Rita O'Brien. Thank you for your existence in our industry, for making the space safe, for creating physical, emotional and professional boundaries so that we can make work about exploitation, loss of respect, about abuse of power, without being exploited or abused in the process.
Irish actor Paul Mescal was named Best Actor for his portrayal of Connell in the hit TV series Normal People. The supporting actor prize went to Malachi Kirby for his role in Small Axe. Meanwhile, Raiki Ayola won the award for the Best Supporting Actress for her role in namesake film Anthony.
Thank you so much, BAFTA. Thank you for voting. Ladies, I'm really honoured to be in your company. I'm so honoured to be in your company, every one of you. Thank you for thrilling us with your performances.
Many nominees attended the awards in person at the London ceremony, with indoor gatherings now allowed in England following a partial lifting of lockdown.
Asian shares are trading mixed as initial euphoria about the gains that closed out last week on Wall Street faded quickly. Japan's benchmark Nikkei 225 gained 0.3% in early trading. Australia's S&P ASX 200 lost early gains, inching down 0.1%. South Korea's Kospi added 0.1%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng dipped 0.9%, while the Shanghai Composite inched up less than 0.1%. China has recorded its fastest import growth in 10 years during May. Customs data shows how surging commodity prices fueled the progression. Imports increased 51.1% year-on-year last month, picking up from a 43.1% rise in April. China also posted a trade surplus of over $45 billion for May, wider than nearly $43 billion in April. However, Beijing's export growth for the month missed expectations. Now let's have a look at how the weather is doing around the world. Well, that is all for now. For the latest updates, you can follow us on social media at Indus News.